Hi, everybody. This is Rebecca Freedom for episode 10 of Heard Not Seen with producer John Beethan.
Hello there.
In the house. So today I am going to share with you one of my latest articles. It's available on RebeccaFreedom.com, REBEKAH, freedom.com, under blogs.
So this one is not on Elephant Journal?
This one is exclusive. This is
nice.
not on Elephant Journal, exclusively for my website, and also probably for a limited time, given its offensive nature.
Oh, are you saying this will be explicit?
Yes.
Of course. We actually marked the channel explicit. That's what I had to, or else it would never get published.
So, the title is An Open Letter to Sluts. You are ruining it for the rest of us. Dear Sluts, I could actually title this, Dear Former 20-Year-Old Self, Keep a Dime Between Your Knees Unless He Pays 100 million. At some point, I would venture to say that most women think, fuck it, this is the year I'm going to be a stripper. Or, I should start being paid for sex. There is no reason for me to give this away for free. But then, there are the sluts. Sluts give it away for free. They are the sexual version of a drive-through that is giving out samples. Sluts have cornered the market on low self-esteem. Being a slut is like Ford Motors in 1919, an assembly line that cranks out the same product. The perpetual search for validation through giving up the pussy is how the whole vicious cycle of chronic low self-esteem continues. It's like the little train that couldn't get her shit together. And I get it, because I did it. And traditionally, men are lazy. Blame it on the idiot molecule, testosterone. I've heard it said that testosterone blocks short-term memory. So the small brain, or penis, is backup. It has only one mission. Hot pocket. And I get that without a shit ton of alcohol, peer pressure, and drugs, most women wouldn't choose to slut out as her first option. But affection has become a commodity synonymous with penetration. I literally have to reread this again because when I wrote it, I was like, dude. Affection has become a commodity synonymous with penetration. The lazy-dicked male whose brain is being washed in the idiot molecule acts on instinct. One instinct begets another, and poof, two sluts are formed. Being a slut is not owning your sexuality, by the way. It is being an emotionally irresponsible retard. Women, you are born with the gate to heaven between your legs, and not everyone gets into heaven. In fact, if you let everyone knock up heaven's door, there will be hell to pay. We literally have to train the penis to ignite the big brain into action. The first step is to make sure the man is buying his stairway to heaven with time, not money. Men are not dumb. They know how to take action. It's the primary characteristic of masculine energy. Charge ahead and think about it later. So, the price of admission includes the initiation sequence I like to call Have Some Balls. Somewhere on the internet exists a gentleman's code. One of the dictates reads, a gentleman can wait for a lady. Sluts don't wait, and this is ruining romance. Plus, now everybody has an STD, and sluts don't talk about it. This is also fucking things up. So, dear slut, please wait. I know that our bodies freak out when we're young and that some slutting around will have to be done. But once you are done with slutting around, hopefully in your late 20s, maybe 30s, lock up the goods. Hopefully your first divorce will be behind you if you got married, quote unquote, way too early. Your string of bad decisions will be the Instagram account you delete and then start a new one. And you get to start over. It's called evolution. At some point, you will feel like a badass because you got an education, landed a great job, or started your own company, traveled, struggled, and overcame, and upped your self-esteem to, quote, unfuckable with, unquote. Of course, you are totally still fuckable. Duh. So, everyone, stop the train wreck that is hooking up. Let's be the generation that ushers romance back in. We can all champion seduction, which is a slow and deliberate process. Sip cocktails rather than guzzle Miller High Life. Be picked up for a date because we have already done a background check via some light Facebook recon. We can call more and text less. We can find time to invest in learning to play with each other instead of dumping the worn out script of holding the other person responsible for our happiness onto one another. In fact, we can invent our version of romance. I know for sure it does not involve being a slut. So stop already. Thank you very much. This reformed slut.
Nice.
Okay. I have certainly pissed a lot of people off with that article already.
So, yeah, you mentioned that earlier. I'm trying to imagine why or how. Do you feel like people were saying, are you calling me a slut?
Well, the overarching thing is that that particular term is, I think they just read the title and then you're ruining it for the rest of us, right? And there's, and it just, whatever rush of emotion that brings, whatever provocation that brings, then leads to, different comments about this better be satire or this is disempowering. So,
I actually liked it a lot.
Any part in particular?
No, it's just, I mean, Rebecca, a lot of this is about you and your journey and where you've come to and mistakes you've made and the pain you've had and the compassion you're learning for yourself and others and where, how you really want to be, in love.
Well, definitely. And I had a conversation today that was like, you can choose how you show up in the world professionally and personally, and you can choose how close those two are related or how similar they are. Because there's people that walk in their personal lives, they're very private, and their professional demeanor is something completely different. And I would say that the thing, if I look back over the years of me being a counselor, that has been consistent is that I kind of just let it all out. I let it out there because it's a premise that I'm working with on my clients. It's truth, right? Like, and you get to decide to what degree you want to express that, like what feels comfortable and good for you.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about a situation. Personally, myself, sort of somebody I'm attracted to, and it's just like one thing I'm esteemed with which is, I just want to get, I want to get to know somebody at a deeper level without having all that stuff in the, it's like having sex without having sex.
Yeah, there's, like you said, just being able to formulate a sense of intimacy without it being necessarily physical,
right? And
holding space for that. I get it. And so,
that's part of why I like the article.
Yeah. Thank you. I was just going to say that's actually a little of the intent of the article is to say, I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but rather, a reflection on places I've been, relationally, sexually. And I feel like this is the garnering of wisdom that's happening. That's the benefit of being 36 and instead of 26 is you kind of start to be like, well, I have different awarenesses and I'll make different choices. And there's merit in slutting around, there's merit in sort of being like, well, let's see what my body does. Sort of like if you have a Ferrari and you have a track, you're going to be like,
let's try this. Let's test drive this.
Yeah, let's drop the hammer. Let's drop the hammer and go. So,
sure.
And if you're listening to this and it's bringing up anything, I think there's something to be said for that. Just, to be curious about how it feels, how that word slut feels.
Yeah.
because it actually can inspire some people. Some people feel like a sense of empowerment in it. And other people, it's really a derogative term. And I'm just curious. I wonder, as far as the intent of the article goes, it really is to say, in the terms of Beyonce, who run the world, girls. Because my understanding, and I could be wrong, and you can correct me if I am, is that, consensual sex is really, it's mutual, but the responsibility kind of starts with the female to give the green light. Anything other than that is rape.
I have to think a little bit about that, but I would agree with it. Yeah.
Like, that's the beauty of feminine energy, is we're kind of a walking invitation to nurturance and to expansion and to perspective and to, ripping things down and rebuilding them, birth and rebirth. And that's the beauty of feminine energy, and masculine energy, really engaging with that is powerful. The polarity is powerful. And again, for me, the benefit of being 36 is like the ownership of self, like a sense of self. So it's like, without that, I don't know that I was ever really an invitation. I was more like a demand.
Yeah. From my perspective, when a woman says, I'm not available for that for a while, I want to get to know you better, whatever, is that what it means is, I'm not really available means, are you willing to explore a more meaningful way of relating? Not, because something happens after
you have sex.
After you have sex, something happens. I mean, everybody knows it. It always changes, right?
Certainly the chemistry piece does. And I would say that when you give it time, I was really thinking of like, if you just gave it like a 2-month time frame, or if you just give it time, you get to start to have experiences that you go through with the person together. You see how they treat other people. If there's something difficult that comes up, if they're flexible, or if they have a temper, or I'm noticing with dating that how quickly we all have our tics. Our colloquialisms, I never say that word right, but our nuances about ourselves that come out, and either they're endearing or aggravating.
Yeah.
But you need time. Like if you just jump in bed with somebody, all of that gets whitewashed. It gets sort of washed out.
Well said.
And you're just you don't really get the time to integrate the nuance. You just start to justify like, this person will be the person I want them to be. And maybe like put your projection of a right partner onto them because you've bonded through sex already.
So, we've talked a few times about dating, relating, and mating.
Sure.
So what you're talking about is dating. So dating is finding out a little bit about what might be in the closet that the other person, and there's tons of clues. We're always like feeding information to each other, and you simply have to be open and aware.
And in person.
Right.
In person. Like I started to get it, like, cause I did an article where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I've just been texting somebody for 2 weeks. It's so crazy. But I kind of got like the different segments of texting versus calling versus in person versus naked and in person, and there's, in some ways, people are like, you have bravery over text, but you also have boundaries over text. Because if people say stuff that's offensive to you, it's like you actually get a 3-second pause. You get to sort of come back and look at it. And it actually is a little bit more of a boundary. And it's a good place to sort of practice, but not to stay in that place, right? Not to stay in that place. And And again, this is nothing I'm calling anybody out on except for myself, is when you text, you do get a little bit of that like drunken bravery that happens. And you can be a slut over text too, because a lot of people are sending dick pics and naked pictures and just, you don't even have that connection with the person. It's like, you're like, what are you baiting? Like, what are you really, like, think about it. Like, what are you wanting to get? So when I say the term slut, it's just like, it's like flinging your body around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just like, you're like a spaghetti noodle. You're trying to see what sticks.
Yeah. I mean, actually, when I think of the word slut, what comes up to mind is slippery. Like, don't really have a sense for what's really going on because it's all really slippery. You don't really know what the hidden agenda is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know that either, like driven by unconscious forces. So for the distinction of this particular article and the reading of it, I again, there's different responses. It's to say, like, what awareness could people choose about how to use their body that would actually create happiness?
Yeah.
Versus, I just am horny and need to get laid. That's one point of view. But maybe there's some inspiration trying to move through you, or you've got so much clutter from past lovers, or if you're trying to date multiple people all at once, it's just signaling like maybe clear the clutter, get a little bit more conscious about it, because it's a difference between a buffet and a 5-course meal.
Big difference.
Yeah. Amazing difference. Like, have you when that happens, it's just the senses are delighted, where the wine comes and then the appetizer comes and you're in the full experiences, versus the buffet. You're like, how much can I heap on?
Yeah.
And then regret later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just had a friend of mine come back from France. They bypassed the things going on in Nice and everything, but what she talked about at length is just how they dine and how they really enjoy the food, and it becomes every meal seems to be an event, and the flavors and the aroma and everything is so just wonderful and full. And for I think about that as she described it, and I thought that's actually more than a lot of people have in their relationships.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And I really would say, ultimately, in the conversation in this podcast today, the point that I want to drive home is just that, is the fulfillment, right? Like, slutting out is you're chasing something, but it's more of a void is being created. There's not like an actual nourishing that's happening. So that's where my expertise comes in, is to be able to hold space and be like, hey, listen, it's cool. Like, I've been there. I get it. I get the motivations and the snippets of pleasure. But what if there's a consciousness, there's an awareness that's going to teach you how to really create pleasure, really feel it? Like, if that's available to you, would you choose it? And that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm poking at in this article. What are you choosing? Yeah,
at some point you need to get in contact with Celine. Celine Remy. I don't remember which podcast episode on Alternative Health Tools. By the way, she did reach out. Seems like her brother, she was entertained for a month's gone, so she's got time.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, reach out to her.
Hello, Celine. So, and there's so many, I know there's so many relationship coaches, and there's lots of different ways to skin a cat, so to speak. there's everyone has their own, they all need to discover what freedom is for them. And that is what I provide. And hopefully the article gets the juices flowing and you start to think like, yeah, I'm not choosing these, or I'm in a transactional relationship where I'm giving up my body or my time, or I'm trying to fix someone else. Because I'm garnering like a counterfeit version of pleasure from it. But there's more available. There's a lot more available. There is straight up magic. I'm going to tell the story and then we can wrap. And I don't know if I told this to you already. And it may be on another podcast. So I woke up one morning and I have my morning routine, and some people have their coffee. It's like I wake up at 5:30 and get up at 7.
Really?
It's like, it's a very odd routine. It's like best intentions routine. Like somehow if I woke up at 5:30, I would be like richer, skinnier, and whatever. Thanks George Washington.
If you got up.
Yeah, if I got up. If I got up.
Out of bed.
Yeah, but I just set an alarm and then I just snooze.
For an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Long. It's just a very... So part of the pattern too is I'll wake up and when I'm finally, my brain is twinkling awake, I'll check my social media. And I had an overwhelming feeling where I was like, oh, it just sucks to be single. I'm just annoyed. And why? And there should be someone here. And that whole feeling. And so I went to, just in my impulsiveness, went to post about being single. And I said something to the effect of, what if my aggravation or my anxiety is really the feeling that someone's about to come in, right? Like I'm about to meet somebody. I'm about to meet this like consciousness, this person that I've been holding space for. And I've had a curiosity about like, what would it be to date someone who is older and who was an adult just overall, who just had, had been through the life experience of being married or whatever and is adulting, doing well at it. And so that had been something I've been, messing with in the back of my head. And so I posted all that and then I was like, well, I guess I'm going to wear a red dress and put makeup on today and go to coffee because it feels like that's what my body wants to do.
Very good.
Yeah, it was like, that feels good to my body. It's like, we're going to put some crazy cat eyes on and red lipstick and just go to the coffee shop, which I go to this coffee shop in my pajamas. Okay. It's not like I'm having anyone to impress.
So do a lot of other people.
Yeah. I just, it's like roll out flip flops, wet hair, cap, go. So that day I was like, guess it's the red dress, the red lipstick and go. And so it was like a whole sort of unfolding process. The timing was interesting. I get to the coffee shop. I have my computer. I was writing another article for Elephant Journal. And I get food and I cross myself. I always do when I get food. It's just sort of in the Italian blood.
No, wait.
Yeah.
You cross yourself?
Yeah. Omni Patri Filii Sancti. Yeah. Right. I never say that right either. So sorry, real Catholics out there.
Yeah, but I'm across the table and she did cross her heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Or as one comedian says, you're swatting flies. What Eddie Izzard, he's like, oh, swatting
Eddie
flies.
Izzard is one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah, he's so great.
Do you have a flag?
Do you have a flag? Yeah.
You know that one, huh?
Yeah, swatting flies. Okay, so anyway, I got my food, crossed myself, and this person, I'm at the bar, so it's a very thin bar with a little glass in front of it, 3 stools, no one is to my right, and then I see this person sit next to my periphery. I cross myself, and then all of a sudden I hear, are you Catholic? I turn and I look at this guy and I'm just like, no, I'm Italian. It's just in the blood. There it was. Poof. Like we talked for probably an hour and I've just been in touch.
All because you paid attention to what your body was saying.
Yeah.
Wear a red dress, put on some lipstick.
Yeah.
See, I love that about you. No, really, this hour and a half is very, very useful, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that where you get in touch with yourself and your body and just what the day might be like?
So, because what was a twinge of what could have been taken as aggravation and a means to beat myself up was just actually picking up on a signal, a beacon of something that was to come. And so I'm aware when we feel amorous or we feel really turned on or horny and maybe sexually frustrated and we're directing it towards porn or giving up or slutting out and just going for the cheap thrill, we're actually we missed the signal possibly.
Yep.
There's a beacon that's like there's something connecting to you saying like, Morse code's on the way and your body's already feeling it. And and it can just be like, and I will say maybe like 1% of the time, because I'm a statistician, it's because you're supposed to slut out with that person because it's going to open the door for the next thing. Like all things work out eventually in the long run. But if you slow it down just a little bit, it's like okay, I guess I'm wearing makeup today. Today's the day I guess I'm doing that. This is sort of what would feel good for my body to experience.
I think that's really important.
I ask it all the time, like, well, what kind of food do you want? And it's been incredibly warm today. So it's awareness. It's like, you don't need to go to get a giant burrito today or a taco or whatever, my favorite foods, or you can be light and you can be easy. And it's a communication, it's communion with your body being like, what could we choose today that would feel really good? Like, where does my body want to go and be? And I will say that, a lot of people don't necessarily have the freedom of that because you're locked into a very rigid sort of way of making income. You have to wake up and do the grind and get the coffee. But you can ask certain days. You can be like, body, do you want black coffee or cream in your coffee? Like, it can just be really nuanced.
That's what I do in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah. And I will say something that it is so fascinating interacting with male energy, because I went a whole year, it was just my sisters, just females in the community. And I was really trying to like come back to my safe space around being able to even deal with the masculine energy. And I kind of hit a feminine overload where I was like, okay, let's have male energy coming in. And I still struggle with it. I know this about me, and it gets reflected to me often that I exude sex, that it's sort of just big and palpable around me, and that's part of my my overall demeanor. And when I meet people, there's part of me that tries to like rein it in, but to no avail ever. And so, I guess what I would say is what I'm noticing interacting with guys is that there's something called radiance, right? So it doesn't have to be this like overtly, blatantly like sexual energy. It doesn't have to be Cheyenne Riot.
May I say something? Okay. So, yeah, perspective, it's like you emit sexual energy, but I mean, I get that, but really what I think it is, it's not really about you, it's about them. So
again, we'll just John Madden this whole thing, the open letter to sluts is to poke at this a little bit, to say like, what's your body awareness? Like, what could you choose that would actually make your body feel good besides maybe just hopping in a sack with some random person, maybe that's it for the day. But most of the time there's probably something else, some other option. So be curious, ask your body, be in communion with your body about that. When there is attraction, I would say that's for the time to even slow down more instead of speed up. So that's another piece about the article. I'm saying just wait, just like chill for a second before you just like
and go deeper into being aware of how you're feeling.
Yeah. And because it's so good, it's so sweet when it's really mutual. When if you meet somebody and it becomes something forward to look to, I said that.
You did.
And when you meet somebody and it becomes something to look forward to. Yeah. So that's a really sweet spot when you meet and there's like, oh, we're going to do this later. Like there's going to be plans later on versus like, let me just get in, get out and, be done with it. So there are options. And if you are in the dating game and just kind of exhausted from the quick and dirty and you're looking for more romance and you want to really create that for your life, I invite you to reach out to me at RebeccaFreedom.com, RebekAH freedom.com.